So my own efforts in this area started, probably around 2001 time period, when I was involved in a group at the World Economic Forum trying to think about how does technology impact development. And that resulted in an index called the Network Readiness Index, which was published by the World Economic Forum till 2016, and now is published by the Porcelain Institute. And essentially, we were forced to think about what kind of issues are even important in this area. Now, if we just try and put our minds back 20 years, a lot of the issues then were very much hardware, software, bits and bytes related. Daisy, can you put to the next slide, please? And what we did was, in 2002, we came up with this model through a series of consultations with people about trying to think, how will technology impact our societies, our economies, and what kind of factors will be important. So we had a whole sort of model and thinking out there, looking at the different actors and the different impacts. Today, if you look at this model, you might say it's obvious, everything is simple and makes sense. But I can tell you in 2001, 2000 time period, it was quite different from the thinking at that moment. So one lesson that I've had is we have to continually think about trying to push the boundaries of our thinking. I must tell you that the ITU, which was the other body looking at measurement for a long time, was primarily focused on more technical metrics. And we were the first to, in fact, come and say we have to look at the economic impact, the social impact, look at all the different actors, including society, including the role of governments and so on. And this has actually helped a lot in many governments around the world and many policy leaders. More recently, we became aware that the world of technology has also kept on changing, and this model is no longer adequate for reflecting what we think are the important aspects going forward. Daisy, the next slide, please. So we went through a process of consultation and thinking once again, and came up with this revision of the NRI 2 years ago. And this basically reflects the fact that, well, if you look at how the impact of technology, which is all the thing that we all are concerned about, will happen, it'll really happen by being able to combine technology and people with the right governance structure. Governance at the national level, governance at a more corporate level, but fundamental story that we have ahead of us is how do we combine people and technology together effectively. And this is something which is not a surprise, because today, if you look at a micro level, if a company implements technology, you need to be able to go and make the changes in the management, the processes, the people incentives, leadership, the change management, and all those things. If not, the company does not get the benefit of the technology. The same thing is true at the national level. If you don't have this broader organizational context, country level context, the regulations, the political environment, the business environment, all those aspects actually included effectively, you'll not be able to get the benefit of technology. Daisy, can you go back to the first slide, please? Go back 2 slides. So this is really, in some sense, what we have been doing, and this is something that we have also applied to the other index of innovation that I created and we published with the World Intellectual Property Organization. And what I must say is that having done these global indices, even though they're imperfect, and even though they try to capture at best a phenomena that is continuously changing, we have found some very useful lessons and observations in terms of how to get governments and policy leaders to actually use it. And this is very much along the lines of what Dirk mentioned earlier, because the OECD also does fantastic work in this area. And I can go and talk a little bit more about it, but at a very high level, I think what I would say is that the measurement tools need to be comprehensive, need to be future-oriented, so that they give guidance. Need to be simple. If they're not simple, people don't understand it and basically reject them at some point. And they need to essentially provide some valuable insights for action. So, this is something that I'm actually quite involved in, quite actively engaged with. And I'm very pleased to be part of this brief discussion. And I look forward to hearing the comments from other panel members. Thank you very much.